All right, doing something very new this time. I've got the MacBook that we're usually streaming from right here. So we're not on the PC that I've been testing. We are on a MacBook Air. And this all started when I was about to buy one of the new Mac Minis last night. The M1 chips in them are pretty impressive, and I've been feeling like that would be a really powerful development machine that I could develop on. And I think the audio is going to be out of sync because this thing's a little bit slower. We'll see. Anyways, the M1 chip, you can get in a MacBook Air or a Mac Mini, and it is just going to destroy any Intel chip machine ever, pretty much, in the benchmark tests. And so I was thinking this would be a pretty awesome development machine that could just keep up with streaming and running Virtualbox and compiling code at the same time. Which, when you do those two things individually, it's pretty easy, but when you do them both together, even on my late 2016 MacBook Pro, it's got a i7 chip in it and solid state drives. It's got a beefy GPU in it. Not even that can keep up with it. So I've been thinking maybe I'm going to get rid of this machine and upgrade to an M1, and it has one of those butterfly keyboards that's defective in it, so I need to send it in to get repaired before I would sell it. And we've also been planning to sell this MacBook Air that I'm streaming from right now. But I thought, why not launch up a Bonsai project on it from scratch before we get rid of it? And I wanted to test to see how it could keep up with the MacBook, because this is pretty much new. We got this last summer, so it was the last MacBook Air right before the M1 chip that came out last fall. Now, I came across something pretty interesting right before I was about to place the order on this Mac Mini. I thought, let's just see what kind of performance people are getting online. And I Google it, expecting to just see people just getting compile times that are a fraction of what I'm dealing with right now, which is generally like 5 to 8 seconds. And come to find out, Trellis, which Bonsai is built upon for the back end of the server, is not compatible with the M1 chips because it's an ARM operating system, which is different than an x86. And I'm just kind of all learning this. I didn't know it was all so important, but it's you want to run the same environments that you're going to be running on the server, and the point is to have identical environments. So when you're pushing it from local or your development environment to staging, you want that to be the exact same type of environment, and then from staging to production, you want that to be the exact same type of environment. And if you get one of these new M1 chips that's running an ARM architecture, then you'd have to be running an ARM server. But all the servers that I run and all the servers everybody else runs is x86. There are some new developments with ARM servers. It's more efficient, higher performance. You're going to save money as well to get higher performance. It's probably going to become a thing, but it might take 5 to 10 years to get there. So we're kind of in this sticky situation where I want to future-proof it so that if I'm teaching these courses on how to develop on the software, someone gets a brand new M1 chip, thinks they're going to be able to just develop well on this, extraordinarily well, they'd probably expect, and they can't do it at all. So potentially when Apple upgrades to the next version of chips, it could be done. The problem is that you can't run Virtualbox, supposedly. And it kind of makes sense because it's a completely different type of operating system than your local development server. Now, I don't want to get too much in the weeds with all this stuff for anyone who might be just starting watching this video, because that's what I want this to be able to cover, is from scratch Bonsai from a brand new MacBook. This is pretty much the first time I've ever opened up this MacBook, so it's all default other than I downloaded Spotify, I downloaded OBS so that I could stream, and I logged into a couple things in Chrome. So other than that, I haven't done any development on it. You'll get a look to see what all of those steps look like from scratch. Regarding the M1 chips, long story short, probably going to stick with Intel Macs for now, for the next year or so. Maybe later this year I will pick up an M1 and start messing around with remote development environments. So basically there'd be a server in the cloud and you'd be using that as your development environment instead of having it local, which I'm a huge fan of local development. It makes things really fast. So I'd have to do some performance tests on that. I guess I could do that on an Intel Mac meanwhile. So yeah, that's where we're going. You can read into the description notes if you want to know a little more information on my thoughts moving forward with the M1 chips. It's interesting. I definitely want to try them out for video editing as well, so it's a toss-up, but Intel for now. I think we'll bridge the gap here in the next couple of years where we can start using ARM servers. And then I don't know if it'll be done in Docker, or we could just, if we figure out remote servers and remote development is working well, then we could just stick with that. But if it delays things too much, then that defeats the entire purpose. The entire point of what I'm going on about right now is when I'm working on Bonsai and it takes 5 to 8 seconds to compile that code so that I can see my changes in the browser, that's 5 to 8 seconds of my life that I will never get back. So if I could compress that, if I could speed that up, I think it's worth the investment and the hassle of trying to figure this out. Alright, this is going to be fun. I love setting up new MacBooks. I mean, it gets kind of tedious sometimes, but check this out. So we're going to open up our web browser. We're gonna go to GitHub. I can already tell it's gonna be frustrating to develop on this MacBook Air because it's already way slower than my Pro, which would make sense because it doesn't have an i7 chip. We're gonna go to Jackalope IO, Bonsai. I think I'll update that to Bonsai Foundation soon here. For now, it's Jackalope IO. Yeah, it's pretty slow. Let's see how long I can even last doing one stream on this. I think if I did it for my PC, I think I'll do it fine. So I can still go through with this development from scratch from a brand new MacBook. So under Site, scripts. We have these are all the scripts that set up the project for us. So this is kind of the heart of what Bonsai is. It's the way that I've made this scalable is by creating scripts to automate the process of setting up these projects. The original Roots project isn't as opinionated as I am, so I'm saying you are going to use Bootstrap, you are going to use Sage 9, you are going to use this version of Trellis, this version of Bedrock, you are going to use these plugins, you're going to use the whole project in this way. It's very opinionated, but that allows me to eliminate a lot of decisions that you make along the way and to script them. So this is pretty much where the money's at right here. We're gonna do new install, and what's the other one? Requirements. Just trying to remember which one we would do first. This is going to install all the software that we need to run this entire project. So what we're doing here is installing Xcode, installing the developer tools will be an important part of that. Installing Homebrew, this is a package manager that can install a bunch of different other stuff and manage versions, all that. I honestly don't remember what telnet is, and it seems like we've commented out installing Python. I guess we don't need to do that. Then we're gonna install Node 10. That's an older version, but it's the one that works most stable with Bonsai. We're installing WP command line interface for WordPress, Ansible, Composer, Yarn, Vagrant Manager. No, I guess we have that commented out. I don't think we need that anymore. Vagrant plugins, plugin expunge, reinstall. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to trust it because I put it there. Brewcask install. Yeah, now we're installing Atom iTerm 2. So Atom is our text editor. We're doing all the code in. iTerm 2 is our command line interface tool, so it's replacing Terminal. And GitHub, this is a desktop application for GitHub, and I think it does most of the stuff you ever need to do in GitHub if you're just a basic developer like I am. I know how to script all this stuff, but I don't know how to write all the backend type stuff. So this really simplifies it, so you can focus a little bit more on the front end, keeping things clean. If you are super backend heavy with your development skills, then you might want to just run GitHub out of the command line. And then SVGO is a tool I use to optimize SVGs. I think it's already included in Bonsai, but I like to run it globally on my machine as well. Sometimes just to mess up. I do a lot of SVG work. Sometimes. So the question is, which one are we going to start with? Well, let's go back to Bonsai. We do have a new version as of 2 hours ago. And I haven't figured out a great process for updating because I do all the development in something called Bonsai Test Project. And then once I hit a new version, then I go and basically drop in all the new updates. But there's some private information, some private paid plugins, scripts, stuff like that I don't want in it. So I'm kind of cherry picking it and replacing. And I don't think that's the ultimate way to do it, because I might miss some stuff. And ultimately I might have missed some stuff. So as we go through this tutorial, I might be making some changes to the scripts, hopefully optimizing the scripts, cleaning the process as we go. So hopefully that's useful to get a look at how I kind of test it after I've done a new release. Get to know your Mac. No, I think I know it pretty well. Alrighty. I haven't updated the README for a long time. I'm not really going to be following that. What I will do is go to bonsai.so. This is the domain space that we're going to be making this new version for, is bonsai.so. Currently it's just a redirect to bonsai.jackalope.io. Yeah, this thing's already running so slow. There's no way I'm gonna be able to do quick development on this machine. I think if I killed the stream and stream on the just output the HDMI to the PC, stream from the PC, I think it'll do fine. So you'll just have to bear with it being a little bit slow in this tutorial. Doesn't look like anyone's watching me live at the moment, so that's good. But if you're rewatching this, you could just speed up probably 1.5 times easily, if not 2x. I almost don't mind it being a little slow for this first one, just because if I need to get back to this guy. Somehow wasn't able to access the course. Yeah, so we're gonna go access the course ourselves. We'll go to course overview. Where is it? Courses. Speed run. I was just about to say I don't mind how it's going to be a little slow, but we'll see once we start developing, because this thing is going to really be hurting. Okay, I want to go to lessons. What's the URL to my course? I do have a Notion document that should be synced with these. So maybe I'll make edits to that as we go. Bonsai speedrun. Yeah, we're gonna start with this speedrun. is the load speeds, and just how slow this MacBook Air is pretty insufferable. I think I'll probably cut the stream before we really get going because it's just going to be too slow. And then I'll just hook it up to the PC. It'll be all good. Let's see, do I have... In one of these, I should have iStat set to install. There we go. I hope these little hash numbers are still the same as well, because I'm not sure if those change when they release new versions. So I guess we'll see how that runs. And I just need to see which ones we're going to be running first, because I don't have that documented. Download Bonsai, install requirements, set up servers. There's a tutorial video of it. This formatting sucks, but I need to spend some time on this. Project Bonsai is secure, yeah. Okay, set up SSH keys. So, set up DigitalOcean account. Already done that. Add SSH key to DigitalOcean. Done that. Generate SSH key. I've done that on another MacBook, so that's where this would differ, is if this is your first time ever setting up an SSH key, then I believe I cover that maybe in this tutorial at the top. If I don't, it's widely documented across the internet, and I would look specifically some stuff on DigitalOcean that might be useful. So I'm just pulling up my other MacBook so I can make sure I have the SSH keys set up on this one that we're streaming from. Publish SSH key to DigitalOcean. Yep, set up GitHub account, done. Add SSH key to GitHub. So I've done all of those, except instead of generating an SSH key, I'm gonna find my SSH key and copy and paste it basically into the new Mac. You could generate a new one if you wanted, but then you'd have to have multiple users set up for your deploys. So I just keep it simple and share SSH keys between machines. I don't know if that's standard procedure, but I do it. Okay, I'll go into LastPass. I might have someone in there. Yes. Yes, I do. Okay. It's been so long, I'm spacing where the SSH keys are. I think it's yeah, it's just the hidden .ssh folder. So here we go. We're gonna open up Terminal, since that's all we have for now. We'll eventually start using iTerm2 once we install it. Actually, before I get started on this, I'm gonna switch over to the PC so that we can get better load time or less latency, and the whole thing will just run way faster. So, ending this stream, and I'll be right back in a few minutes.